Awesome. Well, thank you guys for jumping on. We have Owana and Mina here from Trivium, one of the best PPC agencies in all of the Amazon space. I mean, their mission is very, very simple: position products in front of the right people at the right moment with the right message to maximize sales on Amazon, not in months, but years. So, with a tried and true clientele, they help over 150 brands scale on Amazon. Just a phenomenal PPC management agency with a wealth of knowledge. So they're going to be here going through our launch for Voyaj, how they pull reports, some of the intricacies involved in selecting the keywords, which is one of the most important steps, and then the overall campaign structuring and why it's structured the way it is to push for organic rank, higher conversion rates, and ultimately scaling this product up. So I'll kick it off to you guys. Thank you again for jumping on and sharing such valuable insights.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us. I'm excited to share this. Is going to be value-packed, step-by-step. Owana is our head of Amazon, and she has prepared a very beautiful document breaking down everything. So we're going to walk you through step-by-step keyword research, how to identify the keywords that you want to target, and then she's going to walk you through the grouping, right? Because Voyaj's product is kind of in a unique position. There's two types of products. One is electrolyte powder. It's clear, it's simple. You know that it's, you're typing electrolyte powder, you're looking for a hydration supplement. Versus sometimes, you're looking for one or two or three different things, and it's hard to tell. So, but we don't want to completely exclude broad terms because, it's a lot of search volume. So she's going to walk you through that stuff, and then I'm going to walk you through the launch. So once you have the keywords, how are we structuring things? How much are we spending? What KPIs we're looking for? How to the mindset of like, okay, scaling and conversion rate optimization, all that kind of stuff to actually rank and make a lot of money. So Owana, I'll let you kick it off.
Thank you so much, Mina. Nice to meet you guys. So happy to be here and so excited to be part of this launch. Yes, as Mina explained, I'm going to walk you through step by step of the process, what it means to utilize data dive and go through analyzing competition, pulling the terminology that we want to go after, and most importantly, what are the terms that we want to rank on. At any point, if you have any questions, just drop it off. I will be more than happy to explain, because I can go on and on and on with Mina until tomorrow to talk about PPC, and we will never get bored about it, right? So let me share my screen.
I love it.
I'm going to go directly into the page of Amazon, right? So as mentioned, we are going to be utilizing data dive, and there are two ways to do that, right? First, you can either do the dive box, but today I'm going to pull data from competitors utilizing the trade, just because it's like a personal preference in terms of how I choose my competitors. Also because, as Mina mentioned, the Voyaj product is quite unique, and we really need to make sure that we keep everything relevant. And you will hear me mention relevancy a lot. I may sound like a broken record, but that's how we will actually be able to control the click-through rate and the conversion rate, right? And assure there's no wasted spend on terminology that doesn't resonate with our shoppers. I started by looking at, the main keyword, hanging travel organizer, right? This looked at being, highly relevant for the product and quite popular in terms of the searches. So what do we do? Like, rule of thumb, never go and pull data from sponsored placements, right? Like, we are going to avoid these over here and make sure that we really look at what are the competitors that are ranked organically on page one, okay? Again, relevancy, I told you I'm going to mention that a lot of times, but for example, I will not go and pull data from anything that's like this or this. So we are going to scroll down. I will start adding this to the tray, this to the tray, avoiding things like this. And as I'm adding them to the tray, you will see that they show up over here. Ideally, we will need to have about 15 products in order to be able to really gather information that we need. Avoiding this, so we go down. I can add this to the tray. Okay, sponsored.
And then Owana, are you looking for like revenue? Because for me, a big thing that I look at is, the way that I do it is I sort by revenue, and I'm like, okay, what are the relevant products? sorted from highest to lowest revenue, those are the ones that I want to target because bigger revenue means that they're doing something right. So do you also look at revenue, or are you just assuming that the search results for the main keyword kind of tell the story?
It's kind of both, yes, and you are right. But when we will be able to pull the data, you will have all the information just like you have it in the dive box. So you will be able to look at the revenue and everything that they are generating in terms of, monthly past revenue. Okay, so at the moment we have about 12, right? So next step, this is page 1 for main keyword. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go and look at the niche, right? I want to understand if for the specific keyword, we do have other competitors that don't show up, but they are relevant for our product. So I'm going to go in travel packing organizers and see anything that pops up that I don't already have on my tray. It is within the tray. So I'm going to scroll down. These are sponsored. It is sponsored.
Eric, obviously you can, cut this and make it much faster. It's all good.
Yeah,
Way
for sure, for
faster.
sure.
I
Post-production,
really wanted to.
we'll make everything more action-packed.
Absolutely.
The tray. How many do we have? About 16.
16.
So I can just add this one more. So we have it about 17. So we open the tray. We want to create a new niche. And here we just need to wait for it to actually pull the data and the information that we have. Keywords that we managed to get from, the 17 ASINs that we analyzed. Now, the first thing that I would go and check is if there are any branded names, right? Like we want to exclude that. We don't want to go after them, at least in the beginning. That's not something that we are interested in. So we're going to clean that up. And as a next step, just to speed up the pacing a little bit, we see that there are a lot of searches that have, a search volume lower than 450. That's something that Mina will not, rest and stress about. There's no really point in pulling and going after terminology that has less than 500. So just for the sake of having the filters, I really want to make sure that we don't look at anything that has less than 500 in terms of the search volume, right? So we take that out.
And guys, by the way, like once we start running, we're running stuff in broad, auto and broad and phrase. So if these keywords are good, they'll eventually turn up in like the search term report. You know what I mean? But we're not trying to, start by targeting those keywords and putting them in our campaigns and then just having a bunch of campaigns that are getting 10 impressions, 15 impressions a month because of like the low search volume.
Yeah, absolutely. More tailored approach. Oh, Anna, what I'd love for you to do as well is kind of just running through what this looks like and how to understand this as best as you can, as if somebody's never used the, data dive as a whole.
I gotcha. Okay, perfect. So after filtering everything that's, with a super low search volume, you can see that at this moment we have 52 keywords left, right? So this would be my listing that I want to make sure that I continue to filter, but then I give it to Mina so we can start creating campaigns and make sure that we start building our visibility on. So just like a very small intro on data dive, this would be the overall vision of how our competitors are doing. And once that we will have our product live, the cool thing about data dive is that you can actually add it here and you will start comparing yourselves or how you are positioned versus how the competitors are positioned, right? So that will give you insights of how your campaigns are performing, what you need to do, and how you need to plan your next bidding or ranking strategies, right? In terms of search volume, this is something super important. And what I love about data dive is that you can actually start, playing around with the filters high to low in order to understand, what is the most popular term versus what is the most relevant term. And just to give you like a small hint on what I do, the first thing that I want to look at is how can I refine more the keywords that I have at the moment. Again, going back to relevancy, right? So the first thing that I want to understand is how data dive perceives relevancy, and what would be the searches that I need to block or remove from my list, right? These would be the ones that may have a good search volume, but a very low relevancy score. So in this case, I kind of like manually go and understand what would be something. And the first thing that pops up, I know you guys already discussed about SolGuard, right? You can see that that's, popping up over here, 47% in terms of the relevancy. That will definitely be something that we will need to pull and separate. Once that we are ready, we want to go after terminologies like that, but it's going to be, I would say, quite in a controlled environment, correct, Mina? We don't want to necessarily consider that as our main focus or our main, keywords that we want to rank on. So just...
But one thing to note, guys, is also with keywords like that, you might not convert well, but they will establish a lot of relevance. And this is something that I found is very effective. Like, the reason that we separate it out is because you don't want to consider it as part of like your normal advertising when you're measuring. So when you start seeing, oh, my ACOS is so bad, it could be because of these keywords. Well, because they're competitor keywords. However, it is also a good idea to still target them, because Amazon starts drawing a relevance and saying this product is closely related to this product. They're now competitors, and its algorithm starts showing you in the same searches as them and things like that. So you want to go after them. You just want to be controlled about it and not just say, oh, it's like another keyword.
Exactly.
Great idea.
So for example, this would be an example, stow and go. I would want to remove that. That's another competitor, something that we would look into at a different place. So it looks like from the listing that we have, we are quite okay in terms of what we have for relevancy. The one thing that I used, and I want to show you this as a hit, right? This is something really important because it kind of breaks down into what would be the roots for specific dermatology that you have. This is super important, especially when you have a product that is super niched, and you want from the start maybe to block or avoid anything that would not resonate with your shoppers, right? So in our case, what I did was I went ahead and I selected the SolGuard, everything that's SolGuard. I downloaded them so I can have them separately, so it doesn't go with my listing, with my list of the general terminology keywords, right? So this is something that has been done. Okay. Now, going back to the listing and how we analyze this, you just need to hit export. And the best thing about Data Dive, and I continue to say the best thing because I absolutely love the software, is once that you actually download the reporting, it will not only download the keywords with the entire data that you want about them, but it will actually also give you information on the competitors that you analyzed. Right, so let me actually show you how that looks like. There you go.
Awesome.
Okay, so it actually downloads like this, and you pull all the information, ratings,
Reviews.
the reviews, exactly, the price, sales, the revenue that there. So you have a lot of information. So once that you actually decide to go and target them, there are different variables that you can relate upon. Is it either, we want to go and split them based on how many reviews they have? Do we want to target them based on the star rating that they currently have, or as Mina mentioned, 100% the revenue that they are generating, right? Now, in terms of the Data Dive keywords, this would be the clean version, right? After pulling everything over there, after making sure that everything that we want to go after and that it's highly relevant is in this listing, with the search volume, the relevancy for the keywords, and the suggested bid range, right? This is quite important if you want to understand like where we are in terms of the bidding strategy. I know Mina will talk more about that, but it's like, do you want to be more aggressive versus what is the median? So we have like a threshold in terms of what we can utilize. I pulled the SolGuard keywords separate as promised, and with suggestions in terms of what would be the terminology that we want to go after and how we would split that into campaigns. And then we go into the actual keyword research, which is basically thought about what would be my main intentions for ranking, what are the keywords that I want and will start monitoring my positions for, right? Like what I'm really interested in hitting first page, right? And then everything else that's closely related, but sectioned on audiences. Just like Mina explained, we want to make sure that we understand the shopper behavior and how the shopper interacts and actually is I lost
Like how they're looking for the product, like what
yes,
Yeah.
how they're discovering the product that they're looking for.
exactly. How they are discovering the product, and most importantly, we can get insights on how the market behavior can change, right? If we need to make specific changes to our listings, what type of audience interacts better with the product, just because, again, it is quite a complex product. So we have the closet related terminology, everything that, contains closet. We have things like the suitcase, right? We wanted to group that separately. Packing cubes, because it's also something that where you do see products like yours showing up. So we want to make sure we also get a slice of that market share. And the organizer, which is the biggest in this case, split between the normal relevant terminology with organizers, suitcase, luggage, everything related to that, and the travel specific terminology, right? And then you have the others and the products that I pulled from the other reportings.
Love it. I think this is huge. Ultimately, I love the breakout between these. I kind of think of them like different little markets. Is like, where is our customer? What are they thinking about? And if closet keywords start crushing it, then that's an ability or something that we can go and scale out further, which I think is so important. It's like you're picking something that you're testing against, and you're figuring out, hey, is this the lever to pull or is it this lever to pull? One thing I love for you to break down as well is, I noticed obviously you have exact, you have phrase. And then also, a handful of keywords in each. Your guys' campaign structure, could you guys walk us through that? Is it based off of search volume? Is it based off of XYZ? Just to give the audience a little bit more insight into that as well.
100%, and I can give this to Mina because he's going to be the one handling the setting of the campaigns. But in terms of what we see, how we group them, is definitely search volume, especially for the main, and then relevancy to a specific audience. But when it comes to what we want to rank on, search volume, had a quite huge impact. In fact, you see the one keyword that I started even the search word is the one with the highest search volume, in this case,
Right.
hanging travel organizer.
Awesome.
All right, I
Amazing.
can take over here. So essentially, this is how I would break things up. Now, first of all, you want an order of priority. The reason is you have a budget. You have $100 budget a day, for example. You can't just blast all of these campaigns because, like your money is going to be spread too thin and you need to collect data to make a decision on a keyword. So what I mean by that is, let's say you launch one keyword and you're selling a $40 product. I need to spend at least $20 or $30 on that keyword to know, was that a good keyword or not a good keyword, right? Because if I spend $5, well, it's too early. Now, if we have 100 keywords, I just spent $500 and it's still too early. But if I have, 30 keywords and I spent, 20 on each one, okay, at $600, I now have enough data to make decisions on those keywords. Ones that are good, I'm going to keep them and spend more money on them. Ones that are not doing well, pause them, add them as negative, lower the bid, whatever, essentially spend less money on them. And we can later, activate them again. Maybe at 10 reviews, we're doing pretty bad, but at 150 reviews, maybe some of those keywords, start performing better. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to get a small subset of keywords, get the data on them, and then, move from there. So first, I'm organizing the keywords. There's relevancy. So obviously, relevance is one of the best KPIs that you can use. And that's how I'm going to sort the keywords. On top of that, search volume. So higher search volume is more important. Higher search volume means more traffic, more likely for people to see me. And then, set aside like the branded keywords like SoulGuard, or set aside more broad keywords that we're not 100% sure that we're going to convert on. And then I'll start by launching the campaigns. Usually it's for at least the top 5 main keywords, I'm doing single keyword campaigns. So one campaign, one ad group, no more than 5 keywords. One keyword, since these are single keyword campaigns. So The campaigns usually have at least $100 budget. Doesn't mean that we're going to spend the full budget. It just means that there's enough breathing room for the keyword to spend. And I'll start with a lower bid and I'll work my way up, right? Because most of us want to be conservative. So we want to start a little bit lower and not like, start at $3-4 bid and whatever. It doesn't do well, we can lower the bids. We'll go in the other direction. If it doesn't get enough traffic, we'll increase the bid and the position of it. So, single keyword campaigns for the main keywords, that really drives organic ranking. Then I'll take the rest of the keywords, group them by search volume. So similar search volumes, no more than 5 keywords per campaign. The reason that I limit to 5 is because when I have 50, the top 5 get all the budget, the bottom 45 barely get anything. So what's the point of them even being there? And the reason that I do similar search volume is because if I put a 9,000 or 6,000 search volume keyword with a 1,000, all of the budget ends up going to the 6 or 9,000. We don't know why. This is just what happens, the phenomenon. What I can assume is that Amazon is going to direct budget towards what has the highest likelihood of converting, not converting profitably, but just converting. So obviously higher search volume, more likely to convert. As a result, your keyword with the 1,000 search volume that might be way more profitable won't get any money. So that's the structure. Now, we want to agree on a budget. So we want to understand how much can I tolerate as a loss and assume, let's say a 0.5x ROAS in the first month or a 1x ROAS. You can kind of play it out. So you can say, okay, in the first month, I expect a 0.5x ROAS. Second month, 1. Third month, 1.5. Fourth month, 1.5. Third month, 2. And then change your ad spend amount and see what is that acceptable level of loss and profit. So, your sales minus your Amazon fees, minus your cost of goods sold, minus your ad spend is like, let's say negative $200 per week. So you're like, okay, I can afford negative 200 or maybe at $150 in ad spend, I can afford negative $300 a week in net profit, which is negative 1,200 for the sake of the launch. So it's fully up to you. The more you can accept being negative, the more you can spend, the higher you can generate revenue, the faster your organic rank is going to go up. So that's why, companies with bigger budgets are able to scale way faster than us, not only because they, are going to get, reviews and all this stuff better, but also because they can afford to spend $300, $400, $500 a day over the course of 2 or 3 months, lose a lot of money for the sake of sales velocity and for the sake of organic rank. The number one KPI that determines if your launch is going to go amazing or bad is your sales velocity, your unit sales velocity. The more that you sell, Amazon says this is a really good product. It doesn't care that you spent so much money on ads. It just cares how much units are moving. And I don't know why, right? Obviously, part of I'm sure that they have KPIs of like click-through rates and all this stuff. And that's why, more mature products will show up higher and sell better. But at the end of the day, if you launch and if you, crush the unit sales velocity, you're going to rank well organically, as long as you never run out of stock. If you ever run out of stock, that crushes you. So make sure that you plan your inventory well, spend as much money as you can afford to. And then the goal here is not to spend money on ads, rank, and then cut down the ad spend. No, the goal is to spend money on ads. And it's going to look like this, right? Initially, I'm spending 100, I'm making 100. Then as my conversion rate improves and my organic rank goes up, I'm spending 100. Now I'm making 150. I'm spending 150. I'm making 300. I'm spending 200, making 500. I'm spending, 300, and that gap widens. And as that gap widens, which means, obviously your ROAS is improving, you're going to start making more money and profit. So the goal is not to, spend money on PPC and then start tapering it down and maintain the sales. The goal is to continuously scale, but then the gap widens between your spend and your sales as your conversion rate goes up and as you identify profitable search terms. So that $100 budget that we spend in the beginning, we're testing, whatever, 20, 30 different keywords out. We have an auto campaign going. Let's say, out of that 100, $25 actually drove a good ROAS. The other 75 didn't. They were all keywords with, spend and no sales or, high ACOS or whatever. So that $75 gets then, you pause those keywords, you recycle them into new keywords. So now, you find another $20 that is doing well. So now you have 45 doing well, 55 not doing well. And you keep recycling until now you have $100, budget being fully utilized well. Perfect. let's add another 50. And then that 50, let's say you try a bunch of keywords, only $10 are working well, 40 is not working well. And you keep recycling the 40 until now you have 150 that's working well. And that definition working well at each conversion rate level changes. So you can have ads that are not doing well, and then you go from 50 reviews to 200 reviews. Now those ads are doing well. So as you're working in two directions, right? You're pushing the ads, trying to find the ads that work, knowing that as you improve your conversion rate, all of the ads work better, and your sales are going to improve, and your organic rank goes up, and you make more sales organically, which improves your profit. So everything works better. So it's always like, we're spending more money on ads, we're targeting better and better keywords, and we're improving conversion rate. But that's essentially the launch.
I love that. I was gonna break down, I think there's some really good perspective here is like, you find and you invest into what's working. And I think that's the key to it as well, is like, let's not waste spend, let's ultimately move spend and reallocate the budget as best we can to continue to scale. I'd love for you to dive into like that first 30 days of launch. How often are you going and retesting different keywords, figuring out what's working, what's not? How often are you rejigging? Obviously, I think that comes down to the data and how fast the data is going to come in. But how regularly is important to be able to look at that and make those decisions and those changes?
Yeah, so great question. In the first 30 days, you should be in the account every single day. You made a great point, right? How fast you collect data is going to depend on how much money you're spending. So if you're spending $50 a day across 10 keywords, that's whatever, $5 per keyword. It's going to take a little bit of time until you can get the data on those keywords. But if you're spending $200 a day, and you're looking at it every single day, and obviously you're looking in terms of absolute value. So you're looking for total spend on a keyword. The second that total spend hits that limit. So in the launch, I would probably say if it spends 75% of my product price with no sales, which means on that $76, if it did make a conversion, that would be a 76% ACOS. Maybe that's a little bit too high for me, right? So 75% of my product price. So if you're selling a $40 product, that's $30 in spend with no sales. I'm adding as a negative if it's a search term. I'm lowering the bids or pausing if it's a keyword, if it's a regular target, right? And so that is my criteria. Every single day I'm going in and I'm waiting for keywords to show me that they did not do well. As soon as they show me they didn't do well, I'm optimizing them, adding as negatives. My budget starts to open up. I notice, okay, I was initially spending 100, or maybe, when I launch the campaigns, when Awana launches them, they're only spending 70. I'm like, Awana, spend a little bit more. Okay, we launch a little bit more. Now it's spending 100. Now I'm cutting all the ones that don't work, right? But by looking at it every single day and looking at the absolute amount of spend. And then as soon as I cut a keyword, let's say, 5 days in, now I'm back to $80 in spend. Okay, let's take that $20. I know I have $20 to reinvest. Let's launch a few other campaigns. Okay, it takes me to 92. Let's launch a few other campaigns. Okay, now we're 105. That's fine. And so on. And every day I'm checking for, did any keywords prove to me that they are not a good fit? I want to eliminate them. And then did any keywords prove that they are a good fit, right? The ROAS is really strong. Perfect. Yeah. Increase the budget of that campaign. That's step number one. Slowly increase the bids of that campaign. Look at the bid by placement. Did it perform better in top of the search? Oh, amazing. Let's do a bid by placement adjustment so it shows up more in the top of the search by giving it a little bit of a bigger bid if it shows up in the top of the search. So I'm taking these actions to double down on the keywords that are working, and then I'm taking actions to eliminate anything that's not working. And the ironic thing is, I always say when you're working, you want to work in one direction only, right? You're either scaling only or you're optimizing only. But in the launch, because it's such a fresh product, you want to, your main focus is scaling and that unit velocity, but also you don't just want to let these bleeders stay there. You want to make sure that, okay, this keyword spent $40, there's no sales. I don't think there's hope for this keyword. Add it as a negative. You don't want to just keep having them accumulate and bleed because that's all budget that you could be using for other keywords.
I love that. I think one other huge thing that's important to dive into, and you've addressed it so many times, organic rank and why that's so important in a launch. Obviously looking at that every single day, but how quickly are you, or how often are you doing it? How often should you continue to do it? And then, let's say you're finding new keywords, like you're running these phrase campaigns, for instance, you're finding these search terms are working. what does that process look like for you guys to take keywords that, you know, you obviously can see that we're converting for? And are you going and pushing rank on those? What's your philosophy with, I guess, recycling or, you know, doing the research from your search term reports, bringing them into launch, and going after for organic rank to drive more of it?
Yeah, great question. So, you know, with that, right, you're checking every day, you're checking the search term report, you're checking them for keywords that you want to add as negatives, you're looking for targets that you want to lower the bid or pause. Also, you know, we talked about you're launching a bunch of campaigns and then you're recycling. So recycling the budget means you killed some budget and now you have some free budget. So where do you start utilizing that free budget? This is where you go into the search term report and then you identify profitable search terms. So you can say, show me anything that has a 1 to 30 or 40% ACOS, right? Because when you're launching, a 40% ACOS is fine. Maybe in, you know, when you're matured, a 15 to 20% ACOS is better. But when you're launching, you're like, show me everything that's a 1 to 40% ACOS. And then you sort by the number of sales that it made. High sales and you know, in that range, great. That means that you might get more. So you take that keyword and then you don't negative it or anything. You keep it running. You just launch new, you know, new campaigns with it. One campaign for broad, one for phrase, one for exact. So, you know, you take some keywords, put them in different match types and all the campaigns, and you're like, okay, Amazon, it looks like when you showed up for that keyword, people liked it and they converted. Let's try and show up more for that keyword, right? And so that's the recycling part. That is the extracting profitable search terms and then utilizing that budget that we, you know, cut. Because initially when we're launching, this is everything Owana's showing you is a complete guess. We're just doing, we're giving it our best guess, right? Once you're in Amazon, the search term report is now giving you real results. It's telling you, you converted for these keywords. Now we have data. Now we know what works. Let's put them in their own campaigns, right? And just a rule of thumb for everyone who has heard of graduating terms and all this shit, never negative a keyword that is working. If it makes you money, don't touch it. No matter what, if it makes you money, don't touch it because you can never replicate the success. And I've tried it a million times. No matter what you do, for some reason, if it's working and you try and do anything and then put it in a different campaign, it stops working and that's it. And then you kind of lost it. So if it's working, keep it. You can launch it in another campaign. The keywords don't compete, right? Because what competition means is that you have a, let's say, electrolyte powder, or sorry, let's say carry-on closet, right? And carry-on closet shows up for a suitcase carry-on closet, you know, as a search term. And then you put in suitcase carry-on closet as an exact search term. What you're saying in terms of competition is the one time that keyword in the broad, like, you know, it's obviously showing up for so many different keywords throughout the day. That one time that shows up, it's going to compete with the one that's showing up the whole time because it's like targeting exact, you know what I mean? So they usually don't compete. This one is showing up like once every here and there. This one is showing up the whole time. And you know, people kind of are worried that keywords compete. If you do two exactly identical campaigns with two identical keywords, like, you know, carry-on closet exact, carry-on closet exact, yes, they will compete, and the one with the higher bid will end up taking the budget, right? And the problem with that is if you have a campaign that's been running for a while, it has, you know, history, and the older the campaigns, the better they perform. If you launch a new one accidentally, increase the bid over the old one, all of a sudden budget goes to that one, it performs way worse because the other one is the one with the history and the better performance. So that's, you know, that answers that question.
Super important. Yeah, I love that. No, this has been a great call. I think, you know, sheds a lot of light on process as a whole and how to really scale from what's working at the end of it. You know, Graham, is there anything else that you think is important that we run through or
I
tap up
think
on?
you guys crushed it. No, I
Yeah,
don't
you
think
guys
there's
nailed
anything
it.
else. You did a phenomenal job explaining how we pull the report, why we look at the keywords a certain way, campaign structuring, budgeting, and then going into the launch and analyzing the data. I think that gives a very, very good pathway that people can use and at least elaborate on in their own launches. This was perfect, in my opinion.
Yeah, one big
Amazing.
point that I definitely want to hit on, and Mina, I think you said it well, is like, the thing with Amazon, and we're fortunate enough where we can come in and we can assess as much data as we possibly can and make as educated of a guess as we possibly can, but it's never going to be perfect. And it isn't until you guys hit the battlefield, you hit Amazon, where, you know, that really matters, because every product's going to convert differently. We're trying to show up in different places. We've made our product different from all of our competitors, or done the best that we possibly can. And you never know until you get out there. So data is king. And that's what it really comes down to when you're launching, is you're always looking at what is working and investing into what's working, and that's the key and secret to scaling, in my opinion, as well. So Mina, Oana, thanks so much. You know, this has been really epic and great. I'm sure we're gonna get lots of questions, but yeah, thanks so much for having us on and running through everything. And we're just excited to get this all launched up, which we're officially launching tomorrow. And with your guys' help, we're going to absolutely crush it.
This is going to be amazing. Can't wait for the launch. Owana, you have everything ready, right? Everything ready to go?
Yes.
Amazing.
You're going to hit the ground running. Just
Amazing.
All right,
like that.
perfect. I love
All right,
it.
guys, thanks so much. Appreciate your time. And yeah,